Okay, folks, I'm in the middle of this project here where I've taken yet another piece, another cover, and I'm soaking it in the alcohol. But notice when I pull that back, look what I found. I don't know if you guys can see this, hopefully. You see that little piece there? This is just a place where old lint and oil have collected. Again, I know this seems like it's awfully anal and detailed, but again, this has probably not been done for this machine, certainly not in a long time. And for those of you who will end up buying and using these machines, I really want to make sure you understand you're not going to be doing this to the machine. Literally, you're going to be taking your lint brush, you clean your feed dogs, you brush them off, you blow the lint out, and you oil the machine, and that's all. This video is really for those of you who are interested in restoring machines, and you want to go ahead and do this because you can see what I've already gotten on my cotton swab here. I use cotton swabs quite a bit, and you'll see that I've simply gone around the race with the alcohol. The purpose of this, incidentally, is this is a mechanical part. It's not going to be seen. I'm not interested in removing the old patina. The idea behind this is not to get it to shine, with a chrome shine here. You could do that, but that's not really the point. The point is to make sure that it is cleaned and functional, and it will be happy. It's really, aesthetics are subjective, and on the outer part of the machine, we certainly want to care more about the aesthetics. But here, it's all for practical purposes, and I want to make sure I call that out. So anyway, I knew I would probably find something, and sure enough, I did. But it's easily cleanable. All I'm going to do is brush it away, take my cotton swab, clean her up, and I'll start getting it put back together. Okay, folks, I'm continuing my video. I've been cleaning, and as you can see from my cotton swabs, just using the alcohol, just getting, old oil and lint out of there. So anyway, I came in. Now, the later 15s, you do this from the front, okay? But this is the 1906 version, so I'm doing it from the back. This is the same principle, right? So I have the race. I now have my hook, right? So I'm going to put it in, and it goes in. Like I say, if we were doing this from the front, it would go in where you would see it this way, but I have to do it in the reverse because it's designed to be serviced from the back. And this could be a patent change that Singer had. It could be, who knows why they changed it. They improved the design over the years, but it's not dramatically different. It's the same principle. It's still a Class 15 machine. And this is the hook, and this is how she spins around that race, right? Or the little racetrack, as I like to call it. Anyway, I put one. You always want to be very careful with sewing machine oil when you're anywhere near your bobbin case or your race. Too much, as you guys know, oil attracts lint and dust, and you do not want a lot. But I put a tiny two little micro dots of oil on the race to help the hook spin, okay? But if you want to be very conservative with the oil there. Now, it's pushing up because I've got this here, but that'll be okay once I get everything put together. Now, my next item that I had taken off was this little clip. And over the years, as sewing machines got improved, they had fewer parts to them, but who am I to question the Singer Company, who did such an amazing job? So hard to believe that, what is this, 109 years, almost 110 years later, it's just hard to believe that something made for the home, probably some young woman got this, maybe it was very likely a lady, or it could have been a man, but very likely a lady got this in 1906, and it was a big deal. It was a great expense, but a very important part of the home at the time was to have a sewing machine where you could make and mend your clothing. And 110 years later, and there's some guy on the internet making a video about its restoration, and I just think it's so amazing that something was made so well that it's still ready to sew. When it was probably willing to sew begrudgingly before I started working on it, and once I'm finished, I plan on having her sewing right away. And you'll see, I don't know if you saw this, but I put a little drop here. When I'm restoring a machine, this screw may not have been removed for, who knows, 75 years. It might have gotten one servicing. So because it was stiff, when I go back, I'm just going to put one tiny little drop of oil on it. Again, that's not normal maintenance. That's a restoration thing for those of you who might be wondering, God, do I have to do all this oiling? There's oiling to do on a vintage machine, and I'm going to show that to you as we get closer to getting the machine ready to sew. But some of the things I'm doing here are to literally bring a machine that has had no oil and lubrication back. So I'm oiling some places that are not part of the normal maintenance of the sewer. And I'm also using some, not here, but sometimes in the machine, you're going to see me using larger quantities of sewing machine oil or lubricants than I normally would. And that's simply based on, and this little piece is going to sit right between these two notches, which don't appear very tall because, again, the machine is not, or this piece really needs to be held in my hand while I'm doing this, but I'm trying to hold the camera. I have a tripod, but I'm not sure how much that tripod's going to be useful to us. So anyway, I am putting her back together the way she was, and I've normally done this from the front, but I just paid attention. I disassembled it, and I put it out in the right order that I thought it would go back in. If you folks are doing this and you mess up or you put something in the wrong order, as long as you don't force anything, you are not going to hurt these machines. I have yet to destroy a machine because when I was learning on it and trying to figure it out, just be patient, go slow, don't rush things, don't force things, be patient, and the machine will forgive you, and it'll just wait for you to figure it out, and eventually you'll figure out what the order was. And it was a little easier or quicker for me because I've done a lot of these machines before, but if you haven't, there's no reason you can't do it. Now, one thing I want to mention to you folks, at the top of this cover, race cover, are these tiny little, and I mean tiny, screws. And they sit and they put, it's like a cap. I think it's called a race cap. I think that's correct. Anyway, there's no reason to remove these, and I highly recommend that you don't. They're very small, and unless you have, and they probably, no, I'm sure they have not been taken off since 1906. If you strip them or you lose them because they're the size of peppercorns, finding these screws is very tough. Most of the others you can get replacements for, but these just, there's no reason to do that, right? We've cleaned it, we've gotten the moving parts clean, and that's what we're after. So let's take a look. I believe what's going to be ready now, and you'll see that the race is ready to slide in its spot. And of course I have, from the front is where I'll be, I've got my two screws to put this back into the machine in here. And then of course my bobbing case was designed to be able to be accessed, in and out with everything attached back. So as you can see, it took me, most of my time is making the video here, but I've taken things apart, I've cleaned them, I haven't hurt anything, and now the machine is going to be a lot more efficient. It's not going to have all that old lint and oil dragging on it, which means it's going to be even more powerful. So I'm just really a stickler for this. Like I said, the machine would probably, sew on things anyway, but you want to give any machine the benefit of the doubt, right? If it's supposed to do something, then you need to give the machine the maintenance it's supposed to have. So, and then you'll see over here I've got my needle plate, and I'm going to clean this up as well. I might put a little metal polish on it to buff it up a little bit. Not so much for the aesthetics, just to remove any old oxidation that might be there. Just, again, these are gentle restorations. They're not meant to be, I have no interest in repainting this machine. That would just be, to me, that would be just a sin. It would be a travesty to do that and take away its wonderful patina and its old decals. So again, that's more of a subjective opinion, but that's my approach to restoring things. Make them functional, and then I'm going to show you guys later on, and again in one of the later videos, when I get ready to make the machine presentable in terms of aesthetics, there are ways to make it more beautiful, to clean it, to make it shine more, but we're going to do gentle things that are not too invasive. So anyway, thanks for watching here, guys, and I'll make a video on the next section because I tend to go in sections around the machine, getting it restored. It's a little easier to keep up with what you're doing than taking every single part apart. It's just easier, and that way you can come back to it, because many of you won't necessarily, I can't restore a machine in one sitting. They take too long. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll watch for the next installment. Thank you.